Good morning, everybody. We are live. Today is Monday, May 15th, 8:20 a.m. We will be going over our morning watch list and what to watch and what to expect going into today. This week will be interesting. Um, as far as economic reports go, let's check it out. So, we have on Monday, which is today, 9:15, we have Minneapolis Fed President Kashari speaking. Doesn't seem like there's much going on today as far as big news. Tuesday we're gonna open up with retail sales at around 8:30 a.m. We will also be having industrial production and industrial production and retail sales, or sorry, capacity utilization in 9:15. At 10 a.m., we will have business interventions or inventories. We will also be having Home Builder Confidence Index as well as Fed Chair Barr testifying and a few other Fed speakers later in the day as well. Wednesday, we will be having home starts at around 8:30 a.m. and building permits at 8:30 a.m. as well. It seems like there's not much going on this week overall. And then, of course, Thursday and Friday, we're going to end the week with initial jobless claims and existing home sales. And then Friday is just Fed Chairman Powell on the informer and former Fed Chairman Bernanke on the panel for. So I'm assuming they're speaking on Friday towards something. All right, y'all. Let's get into this charting session. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Let's get right into it. All right. Here we go. So we got our NASDAQ. Looks like NQ has been sort of bullish since Friday. We saw a nice little bounce off that support. And now we're trying to see where are we headed. If we see, we have been pumping since around 13,370 on NASDAQ, somewhat bouncing off VWAP up around that time. Now what I sort of want to see, we are losing some momentum. Hopefully within the next hour, as we approach open, we may see some strength above the 13,444. I would like for us to get to that 13,488 if we seem bullish. And try to get to that resistance, see if we test it. If we break, then of course we have a few other levels above it. If we fail, we could see a reject spot for that. And if we break support or falling wedge, then that's the trend from bullish to bearish, and we'll look for which side is going to continue to be strong, whether it's sellers, because if we break, are we going to bounce back at support? Will it be a false break? We have to sort of question that. So we'll see how itself NASDAQ will do, tech sector specifically, and if it's worth trading QQQ puts or QQ calls. I'm not going to lean towards calls just yet. I want to wait for a few individual confirmations for individual companies, like I believe Meta, that is currently bear flagging, and our bear flag is like this. We have a little bit of a bear flag, and we have to keep in mind that if we break this support, will the market or specifically Meta tank hard, or will they bounce and try to push us up? With that in mind, how much would it affect the S&P 500? So we'll keep that in mind and see if that's worth trading puts or calls in the overall S&P. All right, let's move on to NASDAQ. NASDAQ seems to be hitting that higher low, new higher low. Support side looks pretty flat. Overall, you can tell we've been in a kangaroo market. We've been just chopping around ranges for quite some time now, and slowly looks a little bit more bearish. We got our high, a low, pretty big red candle, small staircase up, even a lower low on this candle. Overall, bouncing off that 4115 support key level, we got rejects, bounce, bounce. This level you can mark as a key spot to either see a potential other bounce or a continuation lower. If sellers tell us below this and we see very well good strength on the sell side, then you know that sellers are stronger, therefore we may go towards this demand as a target to try and see more buyers step in, or even 4094 as a key support. So yeah, my biggest concern for today as far as ES goes is, are we going to use this wedge support again as a balance spot, as an area for buyers to step in? Looks like VWAP aligns with it. And if y'all know from Friday and as well as Thursday, this has been a spot at open. We've opened up here on Thursday and Friday where we've just had trouble breaking. So it's going to be interesting to see if itself and ES will have trouble breaking. Are we going to see a lot of buyers at that price? If so, is there going to be a fake out? Is there going to be volatility around there? That's the idea. And if there is, then it's going to be a little harder to trade. And with that, we have to keep in mind there's VWAP, so maybe we can catch a bounce play. If we break out, we may go lower. After this big sell-off, I'm a little more concerned of selling continuing, especially after rejecting last week alone. Looks like we rejected supply around 3 to 4, even probably multiple times. And with the span of the month, we've rejected this supply, I'd say, way more than almost 20-30 times. All right, so let's actually get to charting this. Let's see what we find. This wedge support catches my mind, or catches my eye. We have a little wedge support there. It's nothing crazy. I'm gonna have this saved just in case. Looks like we are sort of trying to reject it. So if this acts as a pre-market barrier, we can see for rejects. Maybe it's gonna try to squeeze. Just an area to have on mind. Pre-market high, I'm not going to mark a level there. We already have that 4157 to be used as an ideal spot, as well as this 4163 area. This is a supply low, so we have seen a lot of rejections around there. And then 4173, the main reject spot, main resistance in that supply. So now, as far as thoughts for the week, although many individuals do currently look bearish, we still are waiting on the debt ceiling news, as well as overall just debt in the country to come out, see what the Federal Reserve plans on doing. And with that, we gotta sort of be patient, be cautious of the market, and just trade lightly, trade smart. But will we try to hit, from the technical perspective, monthly high, which is this 4198 right here? We've tested it twice nearly, rejected both times. Looks like we sold off here, bounced off demand or supply, or demand, sorry. Mooned up, started having trouble around this resist or supply. They keep buyers. The idea right now is buyers keep trying to push us back up. And why? That's what we gotta try to answer. Are they really trying to push us to monthly high again? If so, do you believe that they're strong enough to get us up there? Especially with all the volatility and cautious news out there at the moment. So we'll see how 4198 reacts this week. If this is a level that we break out of resistance portion, maybe we try to hit that 4173 as a price target, scalp it, and then later in the week we grab some more calls, try to ride it up to 4198. That could be a potential goal. So we'll just keep in mind, we'll watch out for it. If they fail, then we'll know around the supply that they will no longer be able to do, like we tried rejecting over here, here, and here. So let's see how we do. I'm personally looking for bears to be more stronger, but these buyers are definitely consistent. So let's see how we do. Let's move on. Looks like we still have same levels. Nothing has really changed. Might add a few things. Starting off with a new support. Looks like this was weekly support, weekly low 4098. We're watching a 4127 reject as a potential move. Let's see how we first open up, what price. But we have a gap down here we didn't fill. We also have a gap up here we didn't fill. We filled this gap here. Nothing else I see. We may open up with a bullish gap. Let's see how we do. We have our daily support, daily resistance up here. So 4127 to 4147 to 4142. We can see it as a reject for the highs. If bulls are stronger on SPX, they may try to push us up, break the highs, and get us to gap fill, and then hopefully reject around there. If they do, we'll watch that. We'll be prepared to take some puts. Call side, calls are a little iffy. 4098 is where I may be watching for calls. 4090 is a big call spot for me, but since it's in a gap, it's a little iffy as well, since we may try and go for gap fill, which gap fill is all the way down here at 4073. And then of course down here, massive supports, massive area. And then of course 4017, biggest buy spot for me out of all levels. All right, y'all, that should be it for SPX. Let's move on to individuals. So first off the bat, we got Apple with a supply, something we've been rejecting, sort of using the support as a range now. So we have an idea of where our range is. We have this box. We got to see whether we're going to break out for a new high, or we're going to reject, try to get to the low, break to the low. And with that, now comes perspective. Where is Apple expected to go, especially after a large gap? We've been chopping for around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. Today may be our 7th. So let's see if we break out. If we break out, we're going to try to hit that high, 176.23. If we break low, then expect us to either attempt to fill gap, which may lead to volatility, or try to get to support. The support as a solid spot to see whether we bounce in the future or reject and continue, or sorry, we break and continue going lower towards that 162.69. But yeah, we have an idea of where it can go. We have an idea of what range it's in, and now we'll see how we can execute a trade upon that. So let's move on to Costco. Costco has a rising wedge. Although resistance both side wicks, no full candle above it yet. So let's see how we do. I'd like for us to see us break support, but if we get to this 1 day daily resistance, which is what we're approaching, we already rejected it once. We're going for a third reject. If we reject that, I'm gonna watch for puts personally. If we break it, then maybe some calls. It's been attempting it for a while now, as you guys can see, but we're watching this rising wedge for a support break, try to get to this demand. All right, Nvidia. I've heard lots about Nvidia. Nvidia is still not something I want to touch personally. Still not a lot that I see. So what's happening here is this is now a breaker block. We broke out. We tried to retest, never really used it as a key level. Came back here, we used supports. Now we're here. From supply to now demand. That's a breaker block. And we may see this as a strength spot for the next coming weeks or even days, where buyers are going to be interested in, and may cause a rally to a new high or a volatility consolidation for a while. So let's see how Nvidia reacts. I'm more leaning towards this AMD. AMD broke out. We grabbed the puts. It ended up doing very nicely. Now we're looking for it to see if it holds or continues lower. If it does, how will Nvidia react down there at their supply? More than likely, from logic, I'd expect AMD and Nvidia to go using that supply as a support, or demand as a support, and they continue up and rally for a new high. So let's see. I'm gonna watch this. This is not resistance break 96.25, and we'll see if we trade something there. Tesla, not a lot going on. Still in the same range. Still, now it's not really in a level I want to touch. We break support. It's very iffy since we only have about a 1 to 2 points in targeting, which is pretty tight for Tesla. We looked last week for a breakout above 163. It ended up moving, hit our targets, did very well. Now we're sort of starting to lean. Very patient here, not going to be taking anything there. Meta, we talked about there, a little bear flag. Definitely gonna see how they do. We have rejected this 238.29 resistance twice. Maybe want to see do that again. If we get higher, then I want to see 241.49. Meta has had unusual strength lately, so I do want to see how it does react at open. Amazon not touching. Netflix already had its move, which did it fairly well. Microsoft approaching their side of their resistance. Starting to see a lot of sellers though. Usually they are fairly strong. We've had a lot of gaps up. This one even hit a higher high, 3 high rejection. I'm going to mark that as a level. That's going to be key going into this week. We have a support. Still nothing crazy up here. We have a support, so that's going to be interesting to watch to see if we hold. If we break, then you guys know this is from bull trend to bear, and now we're going lower. So let's see how this reacts, and we'll trade accordingly. Bad, not something I'm going to touch. We had our little morning move off news, did very well. Nothing now, it's been chopping since, so we'll leave that there. Google has been tearing on a tear lately ever since breakout. Now we're starting to form a little bit of either, which you can call a bull flag or a range, more towards a range to support. There's about 3 touches on 116.08 or 116.14. If we break, then of course we're going to attempt to try and get to that gap. If we bounce, then of course watch resistance for a break, but we may try to go for that 119 resistance to 123.08 resistance. It's just some key levels from the past. But Google is definitely something worth putting on your watch list. It can have a great move in the next few days, so keep that on watch. Walmart back at 153.92, ended up breaking out of their supply, going up, using the supply as a support, moving up, and boom. Now let's see if we reject or if we break. If we break, I don't think I have any other levels above here. I think that's a new high, or no, we do have more errors, more information here to kind of go off of. But Walmart is probably going to be something I don't touch. I'm going to trade Costco instead. But yeah, that's probably going to be all for today. Hope you all have a great trading day. Trade smart, trade safe. I'm going to see y'all next time. Peace out.